Welcome to JC Connect. Yesterday we discussed about some of the problems and we solved some of the problems uh, based on plane theory method, based on unit cube method, and last one is unit based method. Um, Today we'll discuss about the rate analysis. Sometimes they may ask the theory questions. What are the factors which are going to determine the rate analysis? Rate analysis in the sense how we are going to fix the cost of the materials and how we are going to calculate the cost of the materials, on what basis we are going to do it. So now the rates of particular item of the work is depends on the following factors. The first one is it's a specification and its quality and proportion and constructional operations methods, what type of methods we are using it. Mainly four factors to be considered. First one is specifications, next it's quality in the sense what kind of quality is, whether what kind of company it is, whether it is a phenolics, whether it is a estrol when it is come to the plumbing works. And the proportion, what kind of proportions you are using. For example, 1 is to 2 is to takes for cement, for CC, for cement mortars, whether it is 1 is to 2, 1 is to 3, 1 is to 4, that proportion. Next, constructional operation method, what kind of operational method you are applying. Of course it vary a lot, because sometimes if you use a simple method of construction by using some of the first class labors and second class labors without the consultants and engineers, of course the cost of construction will be very less. But when you are going for multi-storage buildings and big buildings, you have to consult the engineers, you have to consult the consultants, you have to consult the contractors. Without on your own you cannot construct the work. So that method of construction is also and very important. The second one is the quantity of materials and their costs. Of course it depends on the quantity of the materials. Then the cost of labors and their wages, it vary from region to region, place to place. It vary from the kind of work you are doing it, whether you are doing it for RCC work, it is totally different. Labor's cost is totally different. If you are going for the only masonry work, it is totally different. So whether you are doing it for plastering, it is totally different. If it is a plumbing work, it is totally different. If it is a painting work, if it is, the cost of the labor is totally different. So based on the work you have to determine what kind of um, what kind of work is there and how much you have to pay for each of the labors. And the location of the site work, sometimes they may ask if your building is in remote areas, the location of the site work is more, then of course the laborers will ask more pay, and the transportation charges also. If you want to transport the materials from one place to other place, normally what will happen, they will ask for more money rather than the nearest one. It's like a nature. Of course they have to pay, they have to come by their own vehicles, otherwise you have to arrange the vehicle. If it is a remote process, normally they avoid coming to the site and involve in the work. The last one is overhead and establishment charges. Of course, what kind of establishment and other overhead charges are very important. Then profit. Of course, this all rates are depend on the profit of the contractors, profit of profit of the engineers, profit of the consultants. So when it comes to the establishment charges, normally the establishment charges for multi-storage building, they will apply it. Now next thing is cost of materials at source and at site of construction. See how the cost of material, this is very very important, because maximum we are losing our construction cost in the cost of the materials itself. So two things are very important when you are constructing or when you are estimating many of the things. So the cost of the materials and its at site is very important. Now maybe you'll get the cost of the material in one of the city, in the heart of the city, maybe you'll get very less price. If you take the sand for mm, one tractor of sand, you may get for 10,000 rupees. But the same thing if you are taking for 10 kilometers from that heart of the city, normally they will charge 12,000 or 13,000. So that is very important. Means we have to discuss the cost of the materials at the site has to be taken. See, normally the cost of the materials are taken as delivered at the site, inclusive of transport, local taxes, and other charges. So when you are calculating it, don't take it, it's a heart of the city, maybe in the company, but at the site, what is the cost of the materials and how much they will take it, that you have to consider it. Most of the time we'll go wrong here. Maybe we'll ask in the online, maybe we'll get it that okay, it is for 20,000 rupees, but when he is supplying he will charge more, 20, 22,000, 25,000, because at the site the total cost is different. And one more thing, you should be very careful when you are buying through some of the big consultants or some of the companies. Normally they will put the online price uh, at the up to 5 kilometers you have to read the instructions. But if your site is more than 6 or 7 kilometers, what they will say, you will book it, but normally um, they are unable to supply, because as they it is more than 5 kilometers, something like that it will be there. So that is why when you are booking the things, you should be very careful. So the main purpose of this rate analysis is, first one is to work out the actual cost per unit of the item. So the main purpose is what will be the actual cost per unit item. Second one is to work out the economical use of the materials and the processes in completing the particulars of the item. Of course, it's the economical use of the materials. Second, to work out the cost of extra items which are not provided in the contract bond. This is very important, but are to be done as for the direction of the department. Normally, the contractor will agree for constructing any of the road or any of the building works. So contract will be given and contract bond will be issued to him. But normally what will happen is that sometimes the guidelines will change based on the direction of the department. When it comes to the department, means it is whether it is a Jilla Panchayat, whether it is a PWD, or whether it is under DC, any construction work is going on. So in that case, what will happen is that sometimes the contract bond, it will be there for about 20-21 lakhs, it will be there. But sometimes if you are doing with the direction of the department, it may vary. Sometimes it may come down, or change the vary from 21 to, or 21 to 18 lakhs, or 21 to 25 lakhs also. So you should be avoid by the rules and regulations of that. But make sure that when you are doing the analysis, the rate analysis with in a corrective manner, the normally these changes will not happen. But sometimes it will happen only under direction of the department. To the fourth one is to revise the schedule of the rates due to increase in the cost of the materials and labors due to the change in the techniques. Of course, many times I already discussed, when the rates are increasing, suppose if the PWDs are old PWDs, or if you are compare with the new one, normally a lot of changes are there, they have made the changes. And some of the inflation, due to some inflation, what will happen is that cost of the material will increase. So normally we'll give the 5% extra provision is the fluctuation rates. So if you want to determine that, so you should determine the rate analysis properly. This is very important. Nowadays, the cost of the labors, normally, if you go to the previous last 15 years back, cost of construction for the labors, it will be totally different, and now if it is totally different. Nowadays, the labor costs are increased by 25 to 30% compared to the last, because availability of labors and many things, many challenges are there with the labors. And nowadays, we are getting the labors, but we are not getting the quality labors. So the labors can be classified into mainly three types. First one is skilled first class, second one is a skilled second class, the third one is unskilled. Normally the labor charges can be obtained from the standard scheduled rates of 30% of the skill labor. Normally what will happen is that if you have a 100% work is there, 30% of 100% of peoples are there. In that 30% should be a first class labors that you have to provide it, and 70% of the people should be skilled and unskilled, second class and unskilled. um, the 30% skill labors provided in the data may be taken as first class, remaining 70% second class, and others, it includes the unskilled also. Of course the rates are materials for the government works fixed by our PWD. Maybe one more thing is lead statement. What is this lead statement is the distance between the source of availability of the material and the construction site is known as lead, and it is calculated with help of the kilometers. Maybe the sand is, I assume that the sand is available at the river bank. Suppose if your site is there around 5 kilometers from the river bank, then your lead will be 5 kilometers. That we can call it as the lead statement is very important nowadays, because many times we may go full uh, when this lead statements when you, and nowadays the PWD SR, if you take the PWD SR rates, they have made it separate lead instructions for if your site is this much only, you have to take this much only. For tractor you have to take this much, for truck you have to provide this much only. um, in other old PW rate this rate was not there, but this time the lead rate they have included in the new PWD SR rate. The cost of conveyance materials depends on the lead, of course, that I already discussed. This statement will give you the total cost of the material per unit item. Of course, it includes first cost, conveyance of the loading, unloading and unloading, stacking and charges. It's not only bringing from one place to other place, but includes the loading, unloading, and at exactly at the site. Not only unloading at some place, but it is exactly the location of the place. uh, for this, normally it depends on the type of road we are supplying it. Suppose um, if you are supplying from the metallic road, so what will be the price? That is totally different, because the friction coefficient is totally different, and the oil consumption of the metallic road compared to your metallic road means it is normal your tar road. When it comes to the cars road means it is normally, we can call it as cement concrete road. Normally cement concrete road, it will be more. Why? Because it will be more means mm, mm, your cement concrete roads, normally the friction coefficient will be totally different than your tar roads. The tar roads, the consumption of the petrol is less than the consumption of the petrol or the diesel for uh, your concrete roads. So concrete roads will consume more petrol than your mm, mm, your tar roads. Tar roads will consume less, and the concrete road will consume more. Of course, for sandy track roads means, for example, sand with gravel, without provision of asphalt or without provision of your tar, it is going to increase the cost of, means it's not a pavement work. So then of course the petrol consumption or the diesel consumption will be more compared to all those things. So when you are calculating, when you are taking this lead statement or lead, so you have to, and these are the PWD SR rates. Have given only ABC, they have made ABC classification, but Normally if you go to PWS rate, they have around 7 to 8 classifications based on even the cement concrete roads. They have the three classification with what kind of cement ratio they have used, whether it's 1 is to 2 is to 3, or when 1 is to 2 is to 6, 1 is to 2 is to 8. So in that proportions, if you use it M20 or M40, M60, it depends what kind of roads you are going it. They have classified it and they have added this factors. Whenever you are multiplying, or whenever the lead statement you are considering it, you have to multiply and you have to add the transportation charges. And then in the box they have mentioned that I also mentioned in the previous slides, that is for 1 meter cube of wet concrete, it is 1.52 meter cube of dry concrete. Means that much dry materials if you take and if you mix it, it will give the 1 meter cube of wet concrete. And the specific weight of concrete is 144 kg per meter cube. Specific weight means it is the density of concrete, or it is 1.44 ton per meter cube. So normally one bag of cement it will weigh normally 50 kg, that will take it. Maybe we will in the next slides we will do some calculations based on this ratios. If I take 1 is to 2 is to 6, then how much quantity of material I have to take it. So now you can calculate the quantity of materials for the following items. You can say the first one, the RCC, reinforced concrete cement, that is 1 is to 2 is to 4 for 20 meter cube of work. Total quantity of water is 20 meter cube. So then B's RCC work for 1 is to 3 is to work for 15 meter cube of work. So now here the main thing is that finally if they have mentioned it 1 is to 2 is to 4, so then how much quantity of bag I have to calculate it, how much quantity of sand is required, how much quantity of aggregate is required. That is much more essential. Of course this you might have did it in your 8 semesters, but still it is very much essential based on, because sometimes what will happen is that 1 is to 2 4 2 is to 4, they will mention it, but you should know how much quantity of how much bags of cement is required. Now due to these fluctuations of rates of cement, mm, 1 is to 4 is to, they will give some standards, but when the rates will fluctuates, normally what will happen is that normally that with the help of the bags you have to calculate it. In that cases, convert that 1 is to 4 is to into in terms of bags, and per bag how much it is there, that you have to include, and you have to estimate the building rates. So you will go for the first one, is the quantity of cement required for the first case, that is a RCC of 1 is to 2 is to 4 for 20 meter cube of work. So then normally you can see that here it should be calculated 1 divided by 1 plus 2 plus 4, means that is total 7, means 1 is that is RCC of cement. First one is 1 stands for cement, 2 stands for sand, and uh, 4 stands for aggregate. Always it will be in the same manner itself. When you are calculating it, always 1 stands for cement, second stands for sand, and the third stands for aggregate. Don't be under the impression that it is the first one is aggregate, second one is cement, and third one is sand. It will be of the order of cement, sand, and coarse aggregate. So now see there, it is 1 divided by 1 plus 2 plus 4. 1 means that is 1 stands for, this is the cement, then 1 2 4, that is a total, and it is multiply by 1.52, that is 1.52 in the previous slides. If you go it is, if you go in the previous slides, it is 1 meter cube of wet concrete equal to 1.52 meter cube of dry concrete. That you have to add it there and multiply by 20. That is you require total 20 meter cube of work. It is very much important that um, normally that 1.52 and 20, it has to be a denominator. It is a numerator. It is not here they have mentioned it, it is a numerator, it is the denominator. Total it will come around 4.14. Then that is total quantity of cement is required in terms of, it is a meter cube. Suppose if you want to convert that into number of bags, so what you have to do is that it should be multiplied by, you already know that it is specific, that the density of water is equal to 144 kg per meter cube, and one bag of cement is 50 kg. So if you multiply with that, so it will be total you are getting around total 119.26 bags. So in that way you have to calculate it. Okay, try to work out it. If you have any problem, you get back to me. And say similar way you have to calculate it for sand. Of course, sand, you know that mm, it is 2 divided by 1 plus 2 plus 4, that is 2 is for the sand, and it is multiplied by 1.52 into 20. So it is total you are getting 8.28 meter cube. Similarly, the quantity of coarse aggregate required, it is 7 into 1.52 into 20, because why 7 by 7 means it is 4 by 7, it is 4 by 7 multiplied by 1.52 into 20. So that is totally you will get it 16.56, and make sure that that is 1.52 and 20, it is here it is at the denominator, but it should come as in the numerator. That's it. Okay, similarly you can calculate it for 1 is to 3 is to 6 for 15 meter cube of work. Maybe this I'll put to one more slide, this calculation. Maybe if you are confused it, I'll put it in one more slide by with my own handwritings. If you have any conclusions with the units, normally there also the meter cube in the first, the quantity of cement required, if you see it there, you'll get it mm, total meter cube will get cancelled, total you will get it in terms of bags. That is whatever the 50 is there, that is one bag of cement is 50 kg. That's it. If you have confusion is there with the units, along with the units, I'll send it. Not a problem. Okay, maybe in the next class we will solve some more problems based on this with the help of the cement mortar calculations. Thank you.